Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Bruce here with Traveling with Bruce. I've got a story here about cruising, airplanes, and all kinds of stuff. It's a good news, bad news video today. Thank you for joining me on Traveling with Bruce, subscribing to my channel, helping me out with PayPal donations from time to time. Thank you guys. You're absolutely fantastic. Here it is. I've got good news and bad news here. The first story is all about Royal Caribbean. The good news, they just raised $1 billion in fresh cash. They issued over 13 million shares at $76.50 a pop, and $1 billion is in the bank account because of it. The bad news, first of all, it's only 110 days of money because they're burning between 250 and 290 million a month. The other bad news is that if you're an existing shareholder of Royal Caribbean since last March, you have had a 24% dilution of your investment because that's how many more shares have had to be issued so far to keep the company alive, and they aren't done yet. They're going to need a couple of billion more by the time all of this is over. Other news, good news, Royal Caribbean again. They announced around Christmas time that they were going to support a bunch of their travel agencies. There are a lot of travel agents out there working from home or in small mom-and-pop organizations, shops, and $40 million has been made available from Royal Caribbean to help out these firms survive the tough times. That's a good news story. Bad news on this story, though, could be you call one of these travel agencies in the next year or so. You might not know, you probably won't know, that they might be indebted to Royal Caribbean, and they might be under pressure to move a certain number of cruises for Royal Caribbean, and they might steer you in a direction that you might not want to be going. You have an idea in mind what kind of cruise you want, and perhaps the best cruise line is another line, not Royal Caribbean, but the agent has IOUs, and they might steer you in another direction. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but we'll watch it. We'll see what happens. Good news story number 3. There are 3 cruise ships on the move right now, and that would normally mean good news because ships are coming to you. The bad news is here we have it right here. Take a look at this map. There are 3 ships I'm going to talk about. They're these little gray, little triangular ship-looking things. Here's 2 of them right here. Just coming through the Suez Canal between Egypt and Israel, and now going along here past Saudi Arabia. The first ship I'll talk to you about is the one at the bottom here that we're zooming in on. That is the Empress of the Seas, the ship that just got sold by Royal Caribbean about a month ago to an investment group out of India. And the bad news is, unfortunately, this ship is not coming to Miami. It's not going to pick up Americans anymore. The ship is headed to India. There's a brand new cruise line starting from scratch. This is the first ship for that cruise line. And it doesn't sound like they have a lot of dough because they're basically buying a 35-year-old ship to start their cruise line with. And it looks like this ship is going to be relegated to the India, Pakistan, UAE area. The second ship that I'm going to zoom in here, the one that's higher up here on the screen, that is the Carnival Fascination. The Carnival Fascination is a 1990 era ship. One of the new designs that came out at the time. This is one of those ships that changed cruising forever. Because of the sleek look that they started with. Over the years, Carnival added money and balconies to the ship and kept her going for probably 10 more years than she really should have. Unfortunately, the latest images are not so pretty. This is what she looked like a little while ago. She's all rusting out, and the bottom line is this ship is headed to India for scrappage. This ship is done. The valuables were long stripped off of this ship by Carnival, I think 6 months ago, and the Fascination's last days are quickly coming in on her. Here's the third ship that's on the move. You can see this little image right here, that gray dot there. That is the CMV Marco Polo, and it's a sad story because the Marco Polo with the CMV cruise line, they were hanging in there, not making a lot of money, but they were making a few bucks. They had a very loyal group of clients out of the UK. No children allowed on these cruises, adult only. And the Marco Polo was always, fairly well occupied with passengers. Unfortunately, within a month or two of the shutdown, the cruise line ran out of cash. They just could not afford to keep their ships idling, waiting. And the company went into basically receivership or bankruptcy, we say in North America. All of the ships for CMV, I think there were 5 of them, were sold off at auction. This one was sold off for $2.7 million. And when you buy a ship for $2.7 million, that is what we call scrap pricing. And that's where that ship is headed as well. Here is Dr. Anthony Fauci. He came out with a statement over the weekend saying, you probably are going to need to be vaccinated before you can travel. Now, that is good news because that's a bit of certainty. We kind of need certainty. If we know that we get the vaccine, we can then travel. We can start planning for it. The bad news on this story, the number of people being vaccinated in the USA right now, in Canada and other countries, is way, way behind the estimates. The Americans thought for sure, they were bragging about it, 20 million people would be inoculated by the end of 2020. The actual number, something like 2.6 million only. And even now, the 4th of January or so, we're still talking barely over 3 million people. This is going incredibly slowly, and this might delay travel right till the end of 2021 if this doesn't get resolved, and that's the bad news. Now, a bit of good news came out from Los Angeles. LAX, the international airport, they have announced that they have set up a COVID on-the-spot test center right in the terminal at LAX. So if you are, booked a flight to fly to Europe or wherever you're going, and rules change on you automatically, and they say you must have a test before you get on the plane, you can get one right here at the airport. No need to go to a hospital or make an appointment 3 days later. Especially if your flight's in 6 hours, you can get the test right here, and you'll have the results within 2 to 3 hours, and you're good to go if you're testing negative. Same thing at San Francisco International. Apparently, that airport has also set up an instantaneous testing facility for COVID-19, and they're promoting it quite heavily. The bad news, everything sounds great, but the bad news, $250 for a quick test at San Francisco per person, $125 at LAX, and so you're paying between $250 and $500 a couple for a quick test, and I wonder if this is going to become standard at virtually every airport around the world, especially for international flights. What if you're flying to Heathrow from LAX or Frisco, you get your test in the US, then you get to the UK, and you're coming back home, you got to get a test there. You could be looking at up to $1,000 in fees, just testing fees. That's more than your ticket to fly. Not a good deal. I hope it's not going to be that onerous and that bad. I'm hoping that with some controls and with volumes that these tests can be brought down to, they should really be $20. They shouldn't be $250 a person, but we'll monitor it, folks, and we'll see where it takes us. There you have it. 5 different good news, bad news stories, from Royal Caribbean to Dr. Fauci to the airports, travel agencies, all kinds of stuff going on. We'll stay on top of the stories, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. Thank you for subscribing to my channel, and thank you for your support through PayPal. We'll keep you posted, everyone. Bye for now.